my captioner reminding me to turn it on. Hello, everyone. I swear I have my shit together. I just have little reminders because I need them. Hi. Tuesday? It's Tuesday, isn't it? It's been a little strange streaming on days that I haven't been normally streaming on, but it's been awesome. So I'm really glad to be back today. And I had a lot of fun last night playing Pokemon, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing some great Ace Attorney Chronicles tonight. I don't know how close we are to the end of the first game, but I know that we're on the last case, so that's exciting. How is everybody doing today? I've actually been on camera a lot today because at work I had a lot of meetings, had a lot of Teams meetings. You know how it is in the corporate world. So I actually put like makeup on today and I like talked to people, so I'm just like, yeah, it's like streaming except more corporate. This is way more fun because I get to play video games and draw and make jokes. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I do every single time, put them warnings up because we gotta keep it. This list is definitely longer than oh lord, where did I put? I always list them differently. This list is definitely longer than my Pokemon one, which has like no content and trigger warnings because it was made for children. This one, however, is a murder game, so blood and gore, visual and audio, gun violence, animal death, death and suicide, alcohol and substance abuse. You know how Van Zeeks loves that wine. He loves that courtroom wine. Maybe it tastes a little sweeter when he throws it into the fire. I don't know. Domestic violence, self-harm, snakes. I think we really just had that one part that was snakes, but just in case we have a resurgence of snakes, there's your warning. Anxiety attack, hospitals, bone breaking, hanging, suffocation, burial alive. Did we get there? I feel like I haven't seen those yet. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe those are in the next game. I don't know, because I know part 2 is like. Anyway, anti-Semitism and xenophobia. Really weird with the xenophobia. It's been a thing. Fat jokes, and then all the flashing lights, shaky cam stuff for the general Ace Attorney visual novel flashiness. And I think there's a claustrophobic scene. I'm not sure where that is coming in either, but maybe that's to come. But yeah, that is what we have for your trigger and content warnings. If you ever need those again, the command is !warning. And I actually tried to set a timer so that way you might see it pop up in chat later. That should automate just in case somebody pops in and needs it and they see that message. I'm just trying to be really helpful, y'all. I'm just trying to do what I can to make sure that it's the most fun experience for everybody. Oh, somebody is playing Dead by Daylight right now. Sorry, my Steam is notifying me. I like it when my Steam notifies me what my friends are playing. It's fun. But what I'm playing is Great Ace Attorney, so let's get on over to it. I'm super pumped. Hopefully I didn't blast your eardrums. I did check the audio before, so hopefully that was okay. Okay, continue. I have to remember what voices I gave everybody, and they're probably going to be different from last time, so please forgive me. Okay, so I think I got to like the first set of things to like press and present evidence to. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the gas door was ajar, see? You know what? I can press that, so I'm going to. Let's just get right into it, you know? God damn it. Off to a great start.
Hold it!
Alright. The front door of Windibanks was ajar, you say. What time of night was this? So we're back in the case of Windibanks. There was a murder. A murder at Windibanks Pawnbrokery. And our friend Gina has been accused wrongfully of the crime, and it probably has something to do with this conspiracy about McGilded, who has died? Probably faked his own death. Must have been about what, right, Ringo? I don't know what voice that was. That was a little more cockney than... Yeah, I'd say so, right, Silky? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true, ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky? Me old mucker? Me old mucker? What is that? Just gonna eat his fish and chips. Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when this gentleman ventured into the open establishment, I have got to... One day, it might not be today, but one day I will figure out how to do a fucking German accent. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already has the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim.
Objection!
That is pure conjecture. Ha, perhaps. But it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder. Simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened! We got fucking Wario and Waluigi, except their colors... Well, I guess their colors aren't switched, because Waluigi's still purple, but Wario's definitely yellow. It's like a weird... It's like the weird... These are like the evil Mario brothers. That's what it's like. But it's not Wario and Waluigi. It's like an off-brand... It's just off-brand Mario and Luigi.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say, don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash, they do. Must have been sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim, I'm dead sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't. Like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it. It was a sign that a long-lost brother was inside. Sorry, brother was inside.
They're not very good liars, are they?
Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks just like a bruv. I said cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. Cool, blimey, lovey. What does that even mean? A gunshot, you say? Just the one? Are you sure about that? Aha! This might be where we... Just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used belonged to the victim himself.
Yes, Mr. Winterbank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter,
Which is really bad. That's really bad. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds.
That makes sense. Mr. Winterbank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded.
That's true. I remember him saying that as well.
So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm as the murder weapon.
Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. Yeah, that doesn't look good for us.
Hold it!
Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom.
Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all.
That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think.
Oh, well, You turned a rabbit, Ringo? Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond to one of two ways of hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, the good life fear, or the courageous investigate. That sounded more French. To investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Japanese friend would seem is the former. He called me a coward because I would run from a gunshot. What a jerk. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. They just left, they said. You didn't do or take anything? Is that your story? Well, it was bedlam soon as wanted. It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull the dukes out me Lucy lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say? That's right, Governor. Nothing we ain't more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled the dukes out of me Lucy lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe. Come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Oh. Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? I think Naruhodo is like, it was me, bitch. Blimey, Governor! You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. I was there, bitches. Why the bleeding, Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun. And as you fled the scene, you fired that gun. At London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes. I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. The great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And then searched. A firearm was indeed found in their possession. I forgot the jurors. I was like, what jurors do we have? Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. His sassy hand movements, I love them. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from his brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. Oh my god, I forgot the assassin, the Russian assassin is one of the jurors this time. Sorry, I have a little beverage so I can keep myself from drying out. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. The skulking brother's gun. Now, my learned Nipponese friend. Yes? Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. He's toasting me, how nice! For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on the gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial.
Objection!
Well, I don't need evidence. Because I was there.
Objection!
You still need evidence. However, the rest of us in the courtroom were not. Yeah. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of the slashed claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. They looking a little nervous. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that the witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker's shop that night?
I would say the calendar with the blood on it, right? Those are two different guns, too. I should... Wait, but how am I gonna prove that? Oh, shit. I need to examine this gun. Can I examine the gun? Is there anything to examine on it? So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders.
Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it.
Exactly.
The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it?
Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Winterbank's door.
I'll make those brothers pay.
Is there anything else to... Nope. That was the same. So that's really all we can get out of that. Oh shit, okay. It shows relative positions of the main shop and the... I guess the magnifying glass is just like fun. It hasn't really been used. Crime scene photograph. Morning paper.
Pawnbroker perishes and pick-purse plunder. How awful for Jenny, I mean.
But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver is Dauntless Do-Gooder, right?
Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger.
Bigger? How?
Proud pickpocket. Protects planet post-trial, perhaps.
Protects planet?
Ooh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great.
Is there something on the back, maybe?
There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice.
That is gonna come into play later? For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of the world news.
It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently, they're being intercepted by hostile nations.
Communications are being intercepted? But how would somebody be doing that?
That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo?
No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday.
Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment.
That is a new clue. Interesting. But I don't think that's relevant currently. Can I look at this picture again? Nope. That's just about the front. The front headline. Jesus. The gilded case notes. Iris's story manuscript. The blood samples show the bullet. That's what I was thinking of when I was thinking, like, what would show that first... Do we have who... We don't have whose blood that is. Assuming at this point that is the bullet that hit Herlock Sholmes, went through and hit the calendar. Perhaps. I'm thinking...
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio.
What on earth do you have there, Counsel?
During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trust these police to do their jobs they're trying to do. How arrogantly... that's racist. How arrogantly Nipponese of you. That's... Dude, unnecessary. Well, anyway. Yeah, anyway. We analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio.
And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein.
Yes, my lord.
No more dallying then, Counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? This one.
Take that!
Literally has a bullet in the picture. What is that? Explain! It's a photographic print taken at Winterbank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident.
From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there.
Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Winterbank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death.
The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th.
That's right. And while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes, this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night.
Yeah!
Order! How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zieks? I too will take a sip in ponderance while I ponder the clue. Pondering. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? This is pretty sus. Ah, there we go. But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold bandits they claimed to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street.
Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Silky. Set the bloke straight.
I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friends a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact.
To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zieks?
As has been established, at the point of the arrest, a single shot has been fired from Sprott's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Winterbank at all. Okay, that's true, but I wasn't really thinking they were the ones who did it. What the fuck was that?
That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We did it. That's what I reckon.
What was that weird little handshake that they did? That was like... That was really... Sorry, I'm trying to turn my volume down. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget, attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? Yeah.
We're in for it now, bruv.
Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized upon workers and questioned somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery.
Eccentric? Says who?
Not me. Don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop.
Oh, that's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. Which is very useful, and I bet there's a lot. 8 p.m. 8:30 p.m. 9:30. As the Codville observes, copious identical prints are produced in quite desultory fashion.
Rather prodigal, I feel.
In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here and here. Okay, so 2 video cameras.
You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help in the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals.
One can only pray that the would-be criminals lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in stand were not on camera.
That's a bit of friar tucking, bruv. Lady Lux loves a skulking. Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin? Must have been just after 1, right, bruv? Must have been, yes, must have been, yeah. Just go on 1.
In that case, minutes before these brothers enter the establishment, what scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Oh, that's real bad. That's not good at all. Oh, God. No, Gina, no.
Good Lord. It's the defendant.
Miss Gina Lestrade. Gina, no. Gina, why? As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom.
Damn. Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
Oh, that's not good at all. That's, like, really fucking bad. Ugh.
I don't believe it, Jenny.
In short, the accused is the only person who could have possibly killed Mr. Vanderbank.
Damn.
I don't know who's speaking. I say, my lord, is that... Oh.
I wonder if I might put on your word at this point.
Go ahead, Mr. Foreman.
Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand, 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield.
Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point?
Carried on the battle after retirement, you see, the battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading this small squadron, 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words, one for all and all for one.
Is he gonna toast to that? The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreements, have they? Is that for you to understand?
Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. This is the Ganadem Squadron's position, sir.
What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment here.
Status report for the court, men, on the double.
His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions too.
I don't remember what voice I gave this, but
I think you'll find the truth as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it.
I wouldn't have left it in there, I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember. Situation clear, stop. No room for doubt, stop. Truth now undeniable, stop.
I am very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky.
Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
Oh, that's bad.
Guilty.
No.
Guilty.
Oh, come on.
Guilty.
Yeah, I know.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Dude, why are you even here? Why do we always have to do this? I have to sneeze. I can feel it coming on. It does indeed. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned.
But Jenny didn't shoot him.
No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. As we have done for all of the cases prior.
Very well, the court grants permission.
So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. Well, good. Good. If we are unsurprising, at least we're entertaining, right? We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready?
Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be so guilty. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions.
All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketian.
As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and vigorously eliminated.
I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out.
If I had left it in there, I should think that there'll be repercussions by now.
Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transition of verdict to follow. Stop.
In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent.
The circumstance of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively.
The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. And in the accused's hand is a fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses.
Not to mention this print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. That young girl's on the verge of pulling the bullet trigger.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh dear, Holly's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder.
I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you.
Yes, we do, but Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank, so there has to be something that shows that. Which means there's more to the situation that we've yet to see.
Agreed.
You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. All right. All the evidence points to her. She's just in her brain. If you look at that photo in stereo, he's in his own brains. Probably. Wait, if I've left it in there, I should think there will be repercussions by now. So he's just like. He's just thinking about a surgery that he was working on, right? She's... Never judge by clothes, judge by head. Oh boy. I'm going to look at this. A.m. Signs of a single discharge. Oh, shit. What is...
Hold it!
Hold on, I'm gonna see what he's... What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo?
Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously.
Attention!
But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun.
All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information.
By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes?
Oh, how did you know?
Probably because you keep pushing them on me. Let's call it a lucky guess.
It never gets old seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary, it's captivating, it's the height of modernity.
Of course.
Oh yes, I think you'll find that the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen.
If only you could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. All the evidence.
Hold it!
I just want to see what they say. I'm like... You're Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Garrett, aren't you? We really must stop meeting like this. Oh, he's not gonna answer.
Ah, you're that lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Yes, rather a turbulent time we had back then.
Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously. I wouldn't be suggesting that, therefore you should... I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your leaning to not guilty or anything. Nice going, Naruto.
Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Garrett house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out and I couldn't get a bonny soul to take up the tenancies.
Oh.
Haven't had the heart to break the news to Jody yet. Bad enough that the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did do rather a lot. But not for us, that's for dashed certain.
I suppose not.
Of course. There can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously.
Obviously, but honestly, I really wish you'd pay more attention to the trial and less to juror number 2. What is that supposed to mean? Wait a minute! Oh, because he wants a housemaid. That's still fucked up, though.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again.
A maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain.
What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores?
On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pick-pursers, and crossmen, the scum of the earth.
A little harsh, perhaps.
Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated.
Jesus Christ!
At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals.
You're referring to Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
That's right. I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Grant's magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital.
Mr. Sholmes, a maid. Eat your heart out, Twitter. I don't know what you... Oh, honey, if you had lived to see the days of fan fiction, she would be so happy. I'm screenshotting that.
It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective.
Minor detail. It was the two brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant.
A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway.
Yes, all right. I shall amend my statement.
Oh, that led to a new statement.
Those brothers are the scum of the earth.
Oh. They should swing. They should swing for shooting the great detective. Jesus. I'm gonna pit her against him.
Objection.
Music stopped. Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself.
Oh my statement, contradictory.
Contradict. C-O-N. Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick. I have mouse. As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene of the night on the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver.
Yes, they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand.
Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen. A-B-D... Sir? Sorry, my English is still learning. You are telling the court you didn't hear. Forgive me, I did not hear. Here is word. Abdomen. Part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker. I thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again. So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? So you mean to tell me these brothers that look just like criminals are criminals? They said before we never done nothing, but truth is they shot detective. Da, this is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by person who looks like criminal. The irony. Please let the mouse go. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. This means when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough! I trust no one now! It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with all eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Yes, it is, Runo. Easily.
Sorry? Wait, what does she mean?
With the prints from Hurley's red-handed recorder.
I guess kind of.
If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Kiwi, Mr. Prosecutor.
Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke into the shop. Is this fun? Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshots ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is a print produced by the camera half an hour later, after the brothers fled.
So this was taken after Hurley was shot then? As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken.
That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. So the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot the man, but they stole nothing. It would seem so, yes. Good. Good? No, not good! You were right. I did not understood situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue this trial. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Assassin.
Yay, well done, Runo. The balance is shifting.
Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can do that, we just might turn the situation to our favor still.
Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence.
The post-shooting photograph. Can I look at those? Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. So there's 2 of them. Just from looking at the teeny tiny little image, I can tell that something has shifted. Like the box has shifted. I'm trying to do it, but I want to try to figure it out before I have to. The lamp's broken. The lamp right here in the bottom corner is broken. See, it's there. It's together. And it's broken here. That is the only difference that I can manage to see. But now we can use that guy's thing about being in stereo. In Lake of Lies are many dead fish. We must find truth. Therefore, I say not guilty verdict. Mind may tab. She's still saying that. That's pretty creepy. Alright. Let's see what he has to say. What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that.
So sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon.
A surgeon? That totally passed me by.
Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors, oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field.
So, what is it that you think you've left behind?
Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday, a standard thing went in through the abdomen. But when I'd finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere.
Oh my god, was he operating on Sholmes? Did he leave his scalpel inside of Sholmes? What? Did he? Surely not.
Exactly, surely not, you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really.
That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter.
That's exactly what concerned, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I've made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure.
I'm sure you need to be more sure. So that seems irrelevant. I guess
Hold it!
we'll just see what she has to say. She says her mind is made up, but maybe not. Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean?
Are you from the Far East? Stop.
Yes, from the Empire of Japan.
All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey.
Oh, but now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world.
Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed? It makes my head hurt just thinking about it. Actually, that still makes my head hurt just thinking about it. That's pretty... Humanity is really... It's a really crazy thing. Not to get like super philosophical or whatever, but it's a pretty crazy thing.
You are well informed, young lady.
Oh, look at her! She's so cute!
But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop.
And just when I was starting to catch up.
Radio transmission is the future. Stop. Messages carried over airwaves to four corners of globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop.
Right, try not to wear out your fingers.
Era of wireless telegraphy. Telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What utter piffle.
Oh. So we're gonna pit them against each other in a battle of what technology is good?
I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys. Oh.
Oh, excuse me? Do you,
Excuse me.
Excuse me, do you have something to say? I'm sorry. Did that ruffle some feathers, perhaps? Juror number 3, sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. I dare you.
Goodness, are you talking to me?
I think he just might be, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you? Huh?
Absolutely. I mean, really. A machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions. Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional.
What a great way to appease the man.
No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all.
You just don't know.
Pardon?
I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you'd never even noticed before. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They're trying to push us in that direction.
Have you got any, Bruno? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope?
I sure do. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all.
Take that!
Alright, these 2 prints were both taken with the same camera in window banks on the night in question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer. Do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in the position of some objects. Then, when your brain merges the 2 images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly.
It's that small shift between certain objects in the 2 pictures that's really important.
So what happens if you use 2 photographs that are exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene 3-dimensionally anyway.
Oh. Ooh. Of course, now I see.
Ah, I think the young girl has discovered the secret. Oh, she crossed her eyes. I have! Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? It's so cute.
Have another look at these 2 pictures from Hurley's camera, Rudo. Go on.
Yes, please.
Can you see that there's a really obvious difference between them?
Yes, the lamp is broken. Well, that and the people are gone. Of course there is. There are 2 people in the first and no people in the second.
Well, yes, you can see that straight away, but now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions.
Alright, I'll give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes and then try to make the 2 pictures overlap exactly. Is it gonna make me cross my eyes again? Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pens from each picture overlap. I like kind of want to do it and I kind of don't. It's kind of hard to see at a distance. Wait.
Well, least you managed to see it properly, Runo.
Yes, I saw it. What's going on with these two pictures? Some of the things on the counter sort of jump out at you. Oh. Well, I could kind of see that just from like looking in the court record and seeing the shift in between objects. Oh, he's using an actual...
Yes, that's it, you see. That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes.
Other amazing power?
Is someone going to explain this black magic, eh? Why the deuce do some of these things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that,
I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question.
Basic principles of the stereoscope.
As I said before, if you try to look at two identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures three-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the two pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions.
Yes, there must have been.
That's gonna be the...
Now hold fire there, sir! Got a reasonable grasp on this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does this shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master.
What, me? I haven't the first idea.
You know, Runo, it's quite simple.
It is?
Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 a.m. Then, 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means...
That means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with things on the counter.
Zokas!
Someone tampered?
New information, stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far, stop.
Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom?
Are you suggesting you might know?
Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in items on the counter. Mr. Windibank? I'm gonna say Windibank.
Take that!
Quite clearly it was the work of this meddler. That's wrong. That's very wrong.
I'm afraid you digress there, Counsel.
Oh? It should now be clear to even to you who is responsible for the impeachable shift in the direction of this trial towards the absurd. Let me guess. Me? Shift aside, my Nipponese friend, and let's the real lawyers do the talking.
Okay, that was a penalty, but it's fine. I'm gonna make it through. If you think about it, it has to have been someone who was in Windibanks when everything was going on, doesn't it?
Well, yes, that's true.
So, that narrows it down quite a lot, I think.
I'll have another think. We know somebody must have touched the things on Mr. Windibank's counter, so who was it? The brothers? It has to be the brothers. Because I'm not going to say Gina, because I'm not going to be like, it was my client who's... Wait, I'm supposed to be defending them. It has to be... Does it matter which one I...
Take that!
There was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Wait, this does not agree with what brother said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull Dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrase book says Dukes is meaning hands and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is this what you are saying?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Now hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that.
I quite agree. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal.
I think that's unlikely.
And why exactly?
As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony.
But the accused is a pick purse, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here?
Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact, worse, than the pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by two thieves?
Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair.
Oh, he hit his head on the counter. Or the bench, not the counter. Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand.
Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. Must purchase after trial. Stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop.
Well, she changed her opinion quite quickly.
Well, it would seem this trial has yet run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call this summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I order this trial to continue.
Yay, well done. Oh, by the way,
What?
you should hold on to this Runo. You never know when it might come in useful.
Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. If I had a nickel for every time I had to use a stereoscope in a trial, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that I'd have it twice, right? The stereoscope has been entered into the court record. Lord Van Zeeks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. Okay. I've won myself another chance to probe that pair about their activities that night at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. We're gonna keep probing. To be continued. Right now! And I'm gonna save. Let's just save over my first one here. And we continue our journey.
Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand.
I like how Gregson is just still up there with them.
I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination. Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov, I did.
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Come on, blimey.
This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windibanks.
Well, it was bedlam soon as it weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me Lucy lockets.
However, that was a lie. You brothers, on the night in question,
You rifled through the items on the victim's counter.
We never turned up to nothing sort. How'd you figure that out?
So one lied again. Great accomplices they are.
You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time, you will tell the truth.
Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. Again, I don't know how he manages to do that without, like, literally breaking his glove open by cutting it and, like, bleeding all over the place. And such detriment may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. Ooh. A sort of us pondering, perhaps.
Say no more, God, we hear ya. We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll peach.
We'll peach? What does that mean?
Illegal entry, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshots. He made us both jump and all that stuff went flying. Lemmy, it didn't have give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter'd come out of the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scampered straight into him in the black. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we?
So you admit to the defense's accusation?
You did indeed ransack Mr. Winterbank's countertop on the night in question.
Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash, that's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah.
He's like, God damn it.
Sorry.
By their own admissions, these brothers entered the pawnbroker under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess.
The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can he make us sound a bit more cutthroat?
It can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Winterbank's that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Gregson, did you call them? Is this a police conspiracy?
Hold it!
If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place?
Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. If we admitted to something like that, people would think we was up to no good.
So you want to be cutthroat, but you also want to be... What is that?
Well said, Ringo, me old China. We'd only land ourselves in even more trouble.
And in fact, now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Landed yourself in even more trouble.
That's rotten luck.
Says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter?
We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up.
That look.
Sorry.
Hold it!
So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much you knocked all those things off the counter.
Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. This bag of knives needs to learn to keep his shine on. Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up at that bang.
Isn't it both your granny? You're both related.
Big brother screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales on the floor.
You really mastered working quietly then.
What a racket. Me granny would have been scared back into her grave in a clatter like that.
So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise.
And then some. I mean, it was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden,
Oh. Do you have something to say? You're nomming on those fish and chips pretty viciously. Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add?
Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony. You seem to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How about you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night. And the statement they gave then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot.
Might have, Gov, might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it.
Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still, I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas?
If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them.
Easy, easy. Well, we'll get it right this time. That's it, yep. It's all coming back to me now.
Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details you have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs.
Right you are, Gov.
Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun!"
Hold it!
That's pretty important. So in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously?
We did, Gov, we did.
Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yelling all.
If you don't want to get shot...
Give me that! Wow, that was pretty good. Kind of thing. A career in acting, tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from, could you tell?
Of course we could, from the other side of that door behind the counter it was.
From the storeroom where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim or Mr. Winterbank?
On me granny's light, course it was. On his granny's light, course it was.
So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Winterbank and the sound of his voice.
So that would mean what? What next? What? Any ideas?
Yes, Counsel, indeed it would.
No, we didn't know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when that bloke in all the fancy club has given us the evil eye?
If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true.
On me granny's life it is. On his granny's life it must be.
It's a good job his granny's dead. Poor granny. To summarize, and immediately after hearing the voice of the victims, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them on the shop floor.
You make it sound like we're clumsy.
Don't forget we tidied up after like good little boys. Anyway, the way I see it.
The bloke went on the place was holding a gun, so we should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl.
Hold it!
Wait, he was holding the gun? You're saying that Mr. Winterbank had a gun in his hands.
Oh yeah, bet that was a sight, eh? Two of them two waving them guns at each other must have gotten pretty heated. I mean, just before he shouted, we heard the geezer say, "If you don't want to get shot." Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say.
Mr. Winterbank was known to keep a revolver on his shop counter at all times. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he has readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course.
Good grief! Extraordinary devotion indeed, and if alarmingly misguided. Well, he certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger the other night. Only the person he was gonna shoot beat him to it. Cooked his goose proper. Bet he wished he'd squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun."
And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot.
It was more or less at the same time, Gov.
But he was shot from the back. He was shot in the back, though. Yes, a career in acting very tragically missed.
Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck. Before everything went dead quiet. After that, we done a slapdash job tidying the place up.
Hold it!
So, you didn't try to open the storeroom door then?
Not in your life. It went deadly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up me. But anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way that was opening.
Yes, of course. It was locked from the inside, or so we've been led to believe.
It was, Gov, it was, from the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we?
Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom. Like through the keyhole or a spy hole, perhaps.
Don't ring no bells, don't light no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in this game, see, but one day... we'll really cut the mustard.
Cut the mustard. Please cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Gina was in there unconscious with the gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you have set foot inside the storeroom?
That's right, Gov, that's right. Couldn't have, even if we wanted to.
Hold it!
Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, yeah, we was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when your lot turned up.
If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put a loaded gun in your hand.
Good advice, miss, good advice. Truth be told, my mind went totally blank.
Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand.
Mental note made, miss. After that, we lended down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers of Summit, so they clapped the derbies on us like winking.
And after you had been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct?
Well, yeah. But listen, that proves it, done it?
Hold it!
You couldn't have shot the pawnbroker. And why should we believe that?
Yeah, well, 'cause it's true, isn't it? That place was totally empty when we went in.
At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had the gun to his head. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbroker in Mr. Winterbank. Correct?
You got it, mister. Down to a T.
So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Winterbank. Is that really true, I wonder? That's it. That's the full extent of it. I'm trying to think, because if he was shot in the back... Well, let's see what they have to say.
What is it, Bruno? You look very fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired.
Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something important. It is nothing more than a feeling, though. I've no proof to support it.
Well, feelings can be very logical at times.
Sorry?
People expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling like you describe. You've concluded there's something suspicious about this testimony without knowing why, that's all. I think you should trust your instincts.
Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think if she's 10 years old, I must be 5. Yes. So, okay, I just need to look at the evidence again. Can I look at the pictures in the stairs?
You have to pop your 2 prints in here to start with, you see.
And then when you look through the eyepieces, you can see the image in 3 dimensions.
The important thing is to get right is the position of the 2 prints.
I don't know who came up with the idea of a stereoscope, but it's really quite fascinating. That doesn't really help me. So...
See, it has to do something with the fact that he was shot in the back.
Because the way that they were, like, acting it out, it was like he was shot in the chest. But he wasn't shot in the chest, he was shot in the back. So it couldn't, the gun fired at him. I think there's 3 guns. There's the gun that the brothers had, the gun that Gina was holding, which she probably stole from Mr. Windibank, and the actual gun that shot him. But that's like a missing weapon right now. So, okay. Bullet wound to the back. Details of the purpose. Single bullet found in upper half of victim's back. Bullet entered body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory, which means that the person who shot him was shorter. Which, one of those brothers is shorter, but also McGilded is shorter. Okay, presentation papers. Showing this to Scotland Yard gives... We weren't rifling through nothing. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." He had a gun. So wait. He yelled, "Give me that gun." So he should have fired instead of yelling at the girl. So he not only had a gun, he yelled, "Give me that gun," which means he wasn't trying to get a gun necessarily. Well, he was trying to get a gun, but he wasn't trying to get a gun because he didn't have a gun. He was trying to get a gun away from somebody. Wait a minute. I'm just like, wait. Everything back where we found it and left. We never had a chance. Okay, a redemption ticket issued from pawnbrokery owned by the victim, Mr. Windibank, in the form of something that doesn't. Pop Windibank. That doesn't help me. That doesn't help me either. Time of death, 1 to 1:30. Maybe the autopsy? I don't think they shot him. Because their gun, we already established that the bullet that they fired out of their gun, and only a single shot out of 6, because there was 5 bullets left in that revolver, only a single shot was fired, and that single shot we established was the one that went into the calendar and shot Holmes. Or Sholmes. I keep calling him his, like, canonical name, but, so I don't think they shot him, so we didn't have a chance. I don't think that's the right statement. Oh my god, are they gonna say that this shit happened through the keyhole? Did somebody shoot him through the keyhole? Is that what they're gonna fucking say? I'm sorry, I'm probably thinking way too far ahead, but the keyhole is there, and if you think about the gently, it would mean that he was yelling at the girl, "Give me that gun," and then somebody snuck in and shot it. Okay, when did the broken glass lamp? We did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. I'm actually kind of stuck. Oh my god.
Hold it!
Had a gun in his hands. 2 of them waving guns at each other. So wait, that's 3 guns, because they had a gun. Gina had a gun. Windabank had a gun. That's 3 guns. So there's a 4th gun. That's a mystery gun. Or they shot him. It'd have to be a 4th gun. Because Gina didn't shoot him. And he didn't shoot Gina. Oh my god. So heard him say... Didn't sound like he meant it, more of an empty threat. Maybe she squeezed the trigger instead of wasting time. And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot. More or less the same time. I don't think that's how it went. Sound of someone hitting the deck before everything went dead quiet. After that, these... Oh my gosh, I'm actually stuck. Okay.
Hold it!
Didn't try to open the door. Door was locked. We had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we? Unless there was some other way to get a view of the side. There's no way. There's a keyhole. Oh my gosh, I'm... Something... Ah! was she unconscious? That's the other thing. Oh my god, I'm really stuck. I'm just gonna try stuff at this point.
Objection!
Nope, that was wrong. I'm not even entirely sure what statement I should be presenting on. Everything back where we found it. But you did have a chance, kind of.
Objection!
Post-shooting photograph. This is not good. Oh my god. Photograph taken automatically, short time, and maybe this because in the photo, Windibank was not holding a gun? Windibank's gun. Gina was holding it. That's the Skulkin brothers' gun.
Objection!
Oh, thank God, I was right! Okay, whew! That took some logicking, but I got it, eventually. Oh, Jesus, okay. You're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windibank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct?
That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, now she has, no question.
And yet the photographic evidence from the time of the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windibank was not in possession of a firearm of any description.
Objection!
Oh, really? What do you have to object? You surprise me. Does the defense really intend to highlight evidence that compromises the position of the accused even more? I will keep doing it until it loops back around and actually proves her innocence.
Furthermore, the defense has failed to establish that the photographic print presented was taken a suitably short time prior to the victim's death. Your chronology is severely lacking, counsel. Yeah, that's right. Too right, Nash, too right. The old geezer could have been about to turn the tables on the girl, eh?
Hardly likely.
No, I'm afraid this won't stand as conclusive evidence. Ugh. Continue with the cross-examination, counsel, and heed my earlier warning, witnesses. A skulkin's never skulkin'.
A skulkin's never skulkin'? So wait, that wasn't correct? Oh, shit. And I'm just as stuck. The bloke what owned the place was holding a gun, so he should have fired instead of yelling at the girl. But he wasn't holding a gun. But he wasn't holding a gun when he died. He wasn't, if we look at the crime scene photo, he wasn't holding a gun when he died. If Gina was passed out unconscious with a gun and she shot him, he would have a gun in his hand. He would have had a gun in his hand. Right? This is where they want me to go. It has to be this. It has to be this.
Objection.
The music stopped. It has to be this. So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windibank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct?
That's it, Gov. You got the picture. He is, Nash. He is. No question.
And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windibank was not holding a firearm of any description.
You what? Gordon Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection.
There can be no questions that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Windibank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand. But it wasn't the murder weapon. It couldn't have been the murder weapon because he was shot in the back.
Yeah, that Martula used the victim's own gun to finish him off.
That's not what happened.
Hold it.
Stay exactly where you are, right there. If the crime had taken place as you so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out.
Goodness, are you sure, counsel?
You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency? The autopsy report, which shows that he was... Where is it? Good God. Is it further down? It is further down. He was shot in the back.
Take that.
According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me the gun," followed by the gunshot.
Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe.
Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. Yes, we got it. We got it. We got it. Holy crap. I thought I was super stuck. And you know what? I was a little stuck, but we managed it. We managed to get out of there. We dug ourselves out of that grave. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Yeah! But it's the God's honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night, the shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own blinking eyes.
Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windibank holding a gun.
Something like that might have slipped out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person.
Yeah!
I love Ace Attorney freakouts. They bring me so much joy.
Order?
Order! It's a very intense court, Crispy. There's like fire, and there's like wind gusts, and people are like falling all over themselves. One guy keeps throwing wine into one of the what do you call those? It's not a sconce. Is it a sconce? The little candelabra things. He's like tossing wine in there and breaking the glass with his bare hand.
Well, the thing is, we weren't supposed to,
It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you.
Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths in your original testimony with renewed lies? Ever so sorry, Governor Trophies. See, we, cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If we blab now, you know what it'll do to us.
He? Who were they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you.
Bro, come on, the game's up. But he'll have our guts for garters.
In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out.
On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place. Well, do we have to?
On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Yes, tell the truth. Encounter with the victim.
Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and he desired relief when the geezer showed his mug. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we had it. For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through the door in the back room. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear.
So Windibank just like yeeted him over the counter. So you're not telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop?
Well, yeah, sorry.
Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably.
But honest, Governor, this time we ain't got nothing more to hide.
Very well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord, this is it. The moment I've been waiting for. Them to tell the actual truth. Let's get him.
Hold it!
When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windibank.
Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. We was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. But we never thought no one was gonna come out of the back room like that.
The back room being the pawnbrokery storeroom.
Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place it could have been.
So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises.
Which means Jenny must have been in there at least at that point as well.
But that doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windibank into the storeroom threatened Mr. Windibank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you see the accused at that time?
What that Maltula couldn't tell ya. No way, Carver, we had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it.
So he yelled, "Give me that gun," at them.
Hold it!
You mentioned that Mr. Windibank shouted those words in your previous testimony too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door.
Oh, did we?
But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he?
Well, yeah.
Was the victim Mr. Windibank wielding a gun at the time?
Was he ever? Blimey, lummy, a great ugly barrel he had pointed straight at me frontispiece.
So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windibank with the gun at that time, is that right?
It is, Gov, it is. Spot on. Then all of a sudden he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know what was going for whom.
You were clearly all going for each other.
Like Nash said, we thought we had it. I mean...
I can't get over he chucked me over the counter. Like, he literally just yeeted him over the counter. Yes, I noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too.
Well, yeah, of course he did. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales on the floor.
So, in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter.
Well, Big Brother he went flying over the counter like a gunshot, I can tell you, then the old geezer pinned him.
He did, Nash, he did. If you hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a bloomin' pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pond walkway. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. That's right. When the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they?
Poor Mr. Winterbank. He did everything he could to protect his shop.
So he pulled the gun out.
Hold it!
Were you intending to shoot Mr. Winterbank?
Nah, never. I was just, you know, looking out for me bruv, weren't I? He was being flattened, don't forget.
By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then the man fled into the storeroom and you pointed your gun at him, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away and ran off through that door and shut himself in.
There's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true.
I wonder why Mr. Winterbank ran away into the storeroom.
What?
Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him with a gun.
Ah, yes, that's right. So why would he... Yeah, he ran... Why would he run away from a gun straight into another one? Gina allegedly used Mr. Winterbank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Winterbank's hands again?
I have no idea, but that is strange, isn't it?
This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. Mental note added.
Look, the point is me and me brother, yo. That's right, Nash, that's right. Me and brother. We never had nothing to do with killing him.
Hold it!
Still seems pretty sussy to me. You say you had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all. Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was from the inside. We knew it was because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong, wouldn't budge an inch.
So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbrokers, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victims, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade.
It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, counsel?
I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Winterbank? There has to have been. But... I feel like if I just say that there wasn't, that I'm screwed anyway, so I'm just gonna say there could have been. Bang on the desk. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. The music stopped, so that has to be important.
What? What's that look for?
From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did?
What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Winterbank, and it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. Excuse me while I trip over my words. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be?
Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect to two conundrums.
Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe?
Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time?
Understood, my lord.
Are you all right, Bruno?
I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. I literally have 2 chances to be right. Like, literally I have 2 penalties left before I get I fail, so... Okay. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicates from where that person could have fired the gun. I'm gonna take a look at the diagram. So this is the floor. If this is Mr... So... Door... Windabank is on his back. It had to be behind him, and it had to be lower than him. It has to... They're going to say that he was shot through the keyhole.
Take that!
The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. Yeah, it is quite the shot. But this is an Ace Attorney game, and wild things always happen. And in answer to the second question. Assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
Take
In the
that!
storeroom. The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Windabank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom, which is exactly what I was thinking. However, the crucial point, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? I've just played too many Ace Attorney games to know that it is probably going to be the wild as hell shot through the keyhole. And I feel like they've been kind of hinting that, like, oh, because Ryunosuke had said something like, couldn't you have seen him through the keyhole or perhaps a spy hole? Like, they were just dropping that little seed in there to let it grow into your brain for a little bit. I know it has to be the crazy shot.
So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom?
Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony...
I pulled me gun on him and then he legged it through the door in the back room.
If Mr. Windabank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time. Or that. That's also logical. Also. But I still feel like they're gonna do some crazy shit. It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. I still don't think that's what it is. But they're gonna lead us to believe that.
Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial?
Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself.
Poor man, shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety.
Ah, of course! He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory.
So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windabank.
Objection!
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? I don't know, maybe there's some necromancy. What if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Really? Very well, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? Are they gonna... I can't... Are they wanting me to say Gina? There's only 2 people in there. If I say... Oh, Cody's playing Among Us. Hi, Cody. See, here's the thing. If we go with my theory that he absolutely was shot through the keyhole, it works if I say Windibank. I'm gonna say Gina, because I think that's what they're telling me to say.
Take that!
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I'm inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel. Yeah, actually, I was... Ah, yes, that's a tricky one. That, isn't it? Half-baked notions have... That was wrong. See, that was wrong. Right?
But of course Jenny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it?
It does? So it wasn't wrong? I'm so confused. Wait a minute.
Well, if I was Jenny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could.
I mean... Those 2 burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Oh, yes, obviously. Okay, that's kind of where I was starting to go. Like... Before the 2 brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windibank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windibank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom.
Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv.
If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windibank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment?
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windibank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it. In order to save her own life.
Hold it!
See, this is way more logical than through the keyhole, but I still have a tiny inkling that it's through the keyhole. Something has to happen with the keyhole.
But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, you gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we'd never shoot no one.
Objection!
That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Keyhole is better television. That's true. There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder. I like how they're both wearing shorts. Oh boy, the jury's in there. It wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker. I should have known it was those 3 brothers. 3 brothers? There's only 2 of them.
That was amazing, Rudo. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now.
I know, first time ever. Oh, it's a very colorful jury. And probably the last.
Well, I think you've done it. Surely they'll have to give a verdict of not.
Oh no, oh no. He's laughing. That's not good. That's not a good sign for us. An admirable effort, my learned friend. He's laughing.
You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zeeks.
I myself find the defense's arguments most persuasive. German? Laughing? Bad news. I dare say. Such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. That's kind of racist. My brother in Christ. That is very racist. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here. What? The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw. A fatal flaw? Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing?
I say, Lord Van Zees, might be an idea to explain this bully conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground, hmm?
The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Into the fire, assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets. Wait a damn minute. There's 3. There's 3 bullets. That's what I'm saying. Wait. There's 2 bullets. There's 3. Nope, there's 3. Wait. Maybe I am too dumb to count bullets. Holy shit. Okay. So there's the one that's in the calendar. There's the one that's in... Wait. So the one... Wait. Counting is hard. It's also hard when... So they... What did they say about the bullet in Herlock Sholmes? Did they remove it? Because if they remove the bullet from Sholmes, that's 1. If they... The bullet in the calendar is 2, and the bullet in Windibank is 3. So that's what I'm thinking. There's 3 bullets. See, this is what I'm saying. There had to be another gun. There had to be. Because there was the one fired from the Skulkin Brothers gun, and there was the one fired from Windibank's gun. So a different gun killed him. There has to be 3 bullets. Am I crazy? I feel like I'm going crazy. Okay.
By George, count bullets!
Oh dear.
Let's look for a grassy knoll. What is everyone talking about? Council. Yes, sir? Tell the court, how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime? 2. 2 bullets. Correct. The first, that which hits the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. So wait, the calendar, it went through Herlock Sholmes to the calendar. So there's 2 bullets. There has to be another gun. Somehow, some way.
Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar.
So it passed through. Damn, that's rough. Usually a bullet's like stuck in there and they have to remove it, but that's got an entry and an exit wound. He's really hurting. He was really hurting. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know that there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonged to the victim, Mr. Winterbank, which only had 1 bullet in it. It was fired. And the Skulkin Brothers revolver, which had 6 bullets and only 1 was fired. And there's 5 left. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun.
Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each. 1 + 1 is 2.
Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes. Yes, I did. Quick maths! Oh my goodness! I think you'll find
that if a single bullet was fired from the brother's gun to hit Mr. Sholmes, it means...
Winterbank not shot by the same gun. Stop. Only 1 bullet. Stop. Okay, yes. Exactly. Yes, the Japanese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument, however. It was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny. Ah, shit, though. It's okay, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out.
Order! Order! Order!
Oh my god, he threw the whole bottle out. Play forgives the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery. Lord Van Zeeks. But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as juvenile.
Play your first open mic in 3 years? Oh my gosh. Open mic, like a comedy open mic, or like a musical open mic? I'm sorry you woke up with a head cold, Cool Beans, because that sucks.
No, the person in the dock is far more from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct.
Music. Do you play guitar, or is there like a... Do you just sing? Do you have a band?
The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with lawsome intent. As we can see beyond a doubt in this print, which depicts us threatening the victim with a murder weapon.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Solo guitarist. That's really awesome. Well, hopefully your head cold will subside by tomorrow. Just make sure you drink lots of tea and take what's like a good Sudafed is like a really good thing for, well, you know that, but I just that's like my limited knowledge. You probably have more tricks up your sleeve being in learning medicine.
And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present.
Midna, you're finally making an appearance. I'm not offering medical advice necessarily. I'm sorry. This is from my experience. Legally, I am not offering medical advice. I'm just offering advice as a friend. In the past, in my experience, Sudafed has worked wonders for when I have head colds. If anything, Midna's offering medical advice. Aren't you? You're a medical cat. Kitty cuddles also help. Hashtag besties. Oh goodness, she wants to shoulder cat so bad. She wants to snuggle, even though she wanted nothing to do with me today. She was a brat. You're a brat, Midna. I'm gonna put you down. Whee! Whee! Anyway.
I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilda's down to the yard, thank you very much. No, don't give it to him, it's mine, that is, it's mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilda has to be taken in as evidence now.
Okay, you can come sit over here. No, you gotta sit over here.
Yes, that music box disc, McGilda's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Venterbank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious! Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous.
No, ma'am, that is my computer. You cannot sit on my computer.
You can sit on the desk, but you cannot sit on the computer. You'll overheat it.
There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril.
As we have a literal assassin sitting on the jury.
I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the defendant's character.
Was that him?
Lord Van Zeeks,
Inspector Gregson? What?
Yes, Inspector. We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence.
Ooh, something fishy's happened. What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting like a sussy baka? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all.
I am unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent. Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted, thank you.
Oh shit, he's going rogue! He's going off book! The prosecution wishes to proceed by submitting this disc as evidence, my lord.
Indeed, bailiff.
Oh my god, he going off book! The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. Oh boy. Still has nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. That's it? That's all he's doing? We're not even gonna play the... I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes.
Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Uno.
My lord?
I wonder if I might say something at this point.
Proceed, Mr. Foreman.
Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog up till now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden...
The defendant is based, Your Honor. The defendant is, highly based?
The answer's bully obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it.
Oh, no.
Very well. The court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Again.
Guilty. Damn it.
Guilty.
Stop.
Guilty.
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 Not again. Summation examination. Summation examination. We have a consensus among the jury, it seems.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. A clean sweep in the wrong direction.
That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Oh, how dare he use it against us?
Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. That's beyond any doubt.
Very well.
We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready?
Goddamn squadron is primed and ready for action, sir.
Very good.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty.
Here we go again.
Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was the pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cost me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day.
I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. Okay. I'm gonna need some more information out of y'all, but thank you. Thank you. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt.
I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more.
Oh, the whole courtroom is turning against me.
It's not fair.
Iris?
That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Jenny's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer.
I guess he got another bottle of wine. And a new glass. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. I'll drink to that. I will drink to that. Here's to the truth coming out eventually. Against you, you jerkwad.
That's enough preamble, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination.
Yes, my lord. Least annoying wine nerd. He didn't talk about mouthfeel, at least. Once a rogue, always a rogue.
Hold it!
It's the number of bullets that has you convinced.
Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings.
Well, that's logical, I suppose.
Although,
Yes.
sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china.
Does your employer dine with thieves?
So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were not aware, I'd have to reconsider my position.
A 3rd bullet. There has to be! I can prove it! Somehow. Allow me to show you then. The 3rd bullet. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. I have to prove that. Oh, no. I shouldn't have done that. Ooh, this is not good. I fucked up. Is this because of the broken lamp? Is this because of the broken lamp? I fucked up. Fucked up real bad. I'm just gonna...
Take that!
Yeah, that's, yep. Yeah, that was wrong. I don't suppose this would pass as the 3rd bullet. It passes for a bullet as much as you pass for a lawyer, my learned friend. Coming from you, I'm going to take that as meaning not much. In no way does it resemble a bullet, if that helps your understanding of my last remark. Ooh. Roasted. Counsel, at the very least, I would expect the evidence you present to be in the correct form. It's been a long day.
Let's actually try to find this 3rd bullet before we attempt that again, Rudo.
Good idea! That's probably what I should have done. I'm interested to see what he has to say about the ballistic stuff. I thought you were just a tourist. Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take a bus to Crystal Tower, please. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistics expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. Ah. I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent bath of, blood of...
Ah, extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps.
Those. Extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue. That it is. Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve. He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But if possible, please only in Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he?
No, still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Nancy's has managed to convince everyone.
When you have eliminated the impossible, he said, but he hasn't.
If we're going to fight back, we need more material. And we have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again. We have to find the 3rd bullet. We gotta find the 3rd bullet. Somewhere. Shit. But I don't even know. Oh, look at that! It's totally changed shape! Just from one little button press.
Well, that is what the button's for, Rudo. You're just like Hurley. You boys love pressing buttons, don't you? Especially if you don't know what they do.
Us boys, says the 10-year-old girl. Anyway, now you can see that I like pressing buttons. I'm pressing buttons right now. As you can see. Anyway, now you can see that it really is a stereoscope, can't you? Oh Oh my god. Is there a bullet in here? Is there gonna be a fucking bullet in here? I swear to god. Pressing buttons is great. Huh. I guess... It won't let me examine anything else. It's just fun. Well. Okay. That was useless.
Former Gilded. That's the man you defended in court a couple of months ago, isn't it, Runo?
Yes, or rather, mistakenly defended.
I wonder what his name is doing on the back of this disc.
That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself.
Oh, Runo, look! This is blood!
Yes, you're right. Just a small spear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before.
Haha, then it's my time to shine again. I thought we'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still with that disc, Runo.
Can we get this done quickly, Iris? In a flash! What color? Wait a damn minute! 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 Hold on. That color.
What is it?
It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color. No, this is like a this this is supposed to sort of act like luminol, kind of. It's like luminol, but if it was like DNA, but they don't have DNA yet technically. So the green is supposed to match to somebody, but here's the thing. I thought that this blood was Mason's from like the first, no, not first case, the second case. No, the first case. It's not the first time we've seen that color. That's Herlock Sholmes' blood. Because if we look... If we look at the blood portfolio, Mason's was purple, Windibank's was blue, and then Unknown was green, but that's the bullet that went through Herlock Sholmes. So it's safe to assume that the green blood is Sholmes. So what is Sholmes' blood doing on this disc? What is... This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty.
Mr. Windibank always used to keep a gun to hand on his shop counter.
Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand.
That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe.
But his one bullet was fired that night, and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? There's gotta be a third bullet somewhere, but I don't know where. I guess I'm just gonna keep pressing the jurors.
Hold it!
Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder. Is that what you're saying?
Ah, well.
Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge?
I beg your pardon. Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world?
No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous.
Well, yes, I might have a point there, I suppose. But let's not forget the girl had already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through, can't deny it.
When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this?
Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, or am I mistaken?
Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that.
I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it.
Oh yes, of course.
Oh, hello, Midna.
Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe.
We still don't know what tune it plays though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy.
The Gilded Disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. Well, we already did that. We found the blood.
Hold it!
I'll see what he has to say. So if I've understood correctly, you need two pictures, a left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions. Like this. So if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. Yeah, I figured. Well, what about you, who are still thinking about the operation? Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it has nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Because the bullet is stuck in Sherlock Holmes. The other one. You guys know what I'm talking about. The bullet never left his body. That is the 3rd bullet. It has to be. Right? I'm crazy.
I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
What? I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time. There's a bloodstain with no... See, I can't tell. I thought he had an entry and an exit. You know what? Let's let the... I'm bad at this. You were operating on...
What was the fellow's name now? Hairlick? No. Herlock? No. Hairlock?
Sherlock Sholmes, by any chance?
Yes, good lord! It was that Hairlock fellow.
What? You're the surgeon that operated on Miss... I'm telling you, he probably left his scalpel in Sholmes. Okay, listen. In the last trial, the wife of one of the plaintiff... Actually, no, the wife... Actually, the wife... One of the juror members became a defendant on the last case. So this whole setup is absolutely would be mistrial all over the fucking place in real life. There's so many conflicts of interest. It's ridiculous. Actually, 2 of these jurors have been on the jury before. One of them is an assassin from Russia. This guy is operating on the detective involved in the case, and you'll allow it. And the guy who's on the left, who's like the leader of the jury, was literally one of the defendants in the last case. Like, absolute chaos, total chaos.
That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a very major op, I can tell you.
This is crazy. It's kangaroo court. Objection, hearsay. Sorry, I shouldn't make jokes about that. But it's hard to take some of those lawyers seriously. Justice for Johnny. That's what I gotta say. That's what I'm gonna say about that. Justice for Johnny.
Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but...
Yes.
Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting.
Counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print.
The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired, the bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally.
Ha! Who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do. Actually, wait, you were also on the jury in a prior case. So there's 3 members of this jury that were on the jury in a prior case.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a pancake? Are you saying that you checked his back?
Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the...
So he didn't have an exit wound. So 1 bullet is lodged in Herlock Sholmes, never got removed. Which, yikes, but whatever, I guess. I guess it's not killing him. Yet. The other bullet is in the back of the victim. And so that bullet that's in the calendar is the 3rd bullet. There's a 3rd gun!
That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I set about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve this mystery?
No, you are not allowed to sit on that. You're so silly. You can't sit on. I know it's warm, but you can't sit on it. You can't sit on it. It's gonna cause it to overheat. Please don't do that. Don't do that. I love you.
Victorian era gunshot. Yeah. Sholmes will not be long for this world. That's unfortunate. It's almost as much of a mystery as how this injury was put together. Actually, you know what I learned today? Speaking of Victorian era gunshots, I learned that Teddy Roosevelt gave a speech with a bullet in his chest because there was like an assassination attempt on him, and he was just like, ah shit, I gotta give a speech. Well, tally-ho! And he like gave a speech with his bullet. He's like, I'll make it short, cause he actually like had his, apparently he had his speech like written on paper, and it was bloody, and it got too messed up from, you know, being bled onto, that he just kind of tried to do it from memory, and he gave like an hour something long speech while he was bleeding out. And then once they were done, they rushed him to a hospital, and they're like, well, it's probably worse to take the bullet out, so we're just gonna leave it in there. So I mean, maybe Sholmes will be okay. Who knows? Oh, where the bullet ended up is infuriating. So, what if I pit him with the bullet expert?
Objection.
Those 2 statements, they don't contradict, but...
Oh, a ballistics expert.
Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. They called him Bull Moose. Yep. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Violin. Pleased to meet you. Villain? His name is Villain? Really? I love the pun names! This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. He definitely was... I have issues with Teddy, but... he was a man. He was a man for sure. Troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold. Golly. The snow was piling high on both sides of road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound.
Then where did the bullet go?
Bullet never hit me.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? Wait, what? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound. The broken glass from the lamp. I would say that this broken glass from the lamp is gonna come into play. Somebody shot. Fuck. So wait, that is the same bullet. Okay. So there's the same bullet from the Skulkin brothers. They shoot from, they're probably positioned around the items on the counter. So then Sholmes comes through the door. He's like, oh, detective in whatever. And then they turn and shoot through the lamp, which probably causes the yes, sharp glass, shrapnels flying at him, and then the bullet grazes him, you know, whatever, hits the calendar. He gets hit from the glass, which then looks like a bullet wound, so he's freaking out, and he's like, oh my god, I'm dying, and then they take him to the hospital, and then the bullet is still in the calendar. Did that make any sense? Hopefully that made sense. Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me, and that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. Creepy.
But that doesn't answer the question at all.
Hmm?
The shooting happened in a pawnbroker shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country.
True. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here.
Rudo, where exactly was Hurley shot again?
Well, according to the report, in his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think.
Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt.
A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that.
Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations.
Oh. So it wasn't the lamp. It was the files. Very dangerous chemical pouch full of cocaine. Opium. Wasn't the canonical Sherlock Holmes like addicted to opium or something? Doctor, where is the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember.
If I may. Huge druggie. Lord Van Zeeks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question at the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
You still left your scalpel in the guy. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all the other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred.
Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution present the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes' pouch. I see.
So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question. Look at that! One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. That's, yes, leaving a scalpel would be, I think leaving anything in somebody's body that's not supposed to be there is not great, but a scalpel is definitely, yeah, that person would be super mega ultra fucked. And that's probably an understatement. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch.
And it was a glass vial exploding that caused the fellow's injury.
This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. Hey, shut up. We're still in the summation. You're not allowed to talk. Shut your damn mouth. The bungling and burgling process shot the detective, and the accused shuts the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. Ugh. But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Bah, thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence.
Holly's pouch isn't scruffy.
She's very defensive of her dad. It's really cute. Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion. Please, my lord. A little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. There's still a way to turn this around, somehow. I'm sure of it. So... I don't think I listened to her yet. What do you mean you're in for a busy day?
Forgot to say, stop. Do excuse me, stop. I'm a communications officer, stop.
A communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telegrams?
Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to the latest news in the capital. I convert all of the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the entire world electronically.
To the entire world?
Thousands of miles of cable under the sea. Stop. Worldwide communication network. Stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe. Stop.
Ah, yes. She was getting equally worked up about that radio waves or the like before, wasn't she?
I specialize in communicating information from government departments and newspaper offices.
I see.
I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine.
Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? Okay, so that was not relevant. Can I... I have to pit... I can't present any evidence to anybody. Is that a bullet? Is that a bullet? Is that a bullet? Is that a bullet? It's really scorched badly just here.
Oh, the strap is broken, look.
This must be where the bullet hit then.
Let me see.
There's a bullet! There's a bullet! There's a bullet! There's the third bullet! There's the third bullet! There's the third bullet! Yes! What the— Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was, do you see it?
Ah, that's the Skulkin Brothers bullet.
What a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windowbanks that night.
We found exactly what that juror was talking about. The third bullet.
It's time to press that juror again. The third bullet! Fuck yeah, what is this stuff?
These glass vials are full of Hurley's homemade potions.
Homemade?
Yes, like fingerprint powder to show up where people have touched things, and scent amplifying solution to intensify a smell lingering on an object.
That's amazing.
They're all very easy to use. There's just one thing that you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable.
Ah. Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb. Either he's passionate about finding out the truth or just oblivious to the dangers. Oh dear. Damn, it really did get scorched. Okay, so we have the bullet. Juror number 2, I'm coming for ya.
Hold it!
Skip. I can prove it. Aha! Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired. What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? That is racist. Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Shom's pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Shom's waist before he was taken to hospital, and since then it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. Ah! 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windibank and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. So, okay. So who fired the... So I think that the bullet that's lodged in the calendar is Windibank's. So he fired at the thieves. When the thieves ran, they fired at Sholmes, so that's where that bullet is. We know that. We just established that. That is fact. I think Mr. Windibank's gun was empty by the time it was found. Well, of course it would be. Okay, he could not have been... Midna, you better not sit on my computer. You're so needy. Okay, Midna, help me with this. So, I think that the bullet that's in the calendar is Windibank's because he had a gun. He had his own gun, and somehow it made it into the hands of Gina. But he was shot in the back. He could not have been shot with his own gun because Gina was holding the gun. And it was probably already empty even when they went into the storeroom. This is how I'm predicting it. That's just, we'll see how it goes. While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter!
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Interesting. Witnesses?
Governor!
Were you listening to the proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor, we was!
Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answers this one question. A stud bullet has been identified as the scene of the crime. What do you make of that?
I make of it, Gov. I don't make nothing of nothing. I can't help it.
Is it one of yours?
God blimey, Gov. God blimey, not a chance.
In that case, did you have an accomplice?
What? Never. The Skulkin brothers work alone. It's just the 2 of us. That's our trademark.
How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The 3rd bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it?
Let me, let's scratch you. Counsel for the defense.
Yes?
I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The 3rd bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came.
Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen,
I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. They had a secret accomplice. On that night at Windibank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
It has to be. Because they said something earlier about... No. Whoop! Goodness. Let go. Careful. They said something earlier about not wanting to make him mad or something like that. Like he would do something to us. Do you mind, madam? Can I help you? These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of the third man. If this is apparently wraith-like being exists, the court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. Are you knocking stuff off my desk? Are you being a menace? Maybe the green blood isn't Sholmes. Maybe the green blood is somebody else. McGilded? The blood shows that there's a third person. Some unidentified person. Okay. You're being a menace. Why are you being a menace? Knocking stuff off. Firstly, proof, evidence, is that this accomplice was ever to see this crime. And secondly, is the identity of the spurious character. The Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel, I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is... I have 1 penalty left. I'm gonna say ready to present answers. The defense... Why did I get a German accent all of a sudden? The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make any difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene?
Take that!
The blood. The evidence is right here in this portfolio.
By Jove, that portfolio again, is it?
Do you expect a court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Take that!
This one.
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar.
That's a blood stain, my lord.
A blood stain?
Green blood, curious even for you. Is the court who understands it's the intruder of some unhuman creature. Alien! No, it's not an alien. It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
By the great detective? New invention, stop. Not yet appeared in stories, stop. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fungus sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its colour. Different elements of people's blood? Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what colour it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is.
Ooh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop. As an example,
This one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank. Ah, striking blue. Yeah, so you see, the green color of this blood stain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop.
Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it?
No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windibank was killed.
By golly.
Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day.
Then whose blood is it?
Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else, the third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? Maybe Eggert?
Take that!
The man's name is Eggert Benedict.
Eggert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, Counsel?
He paid a visit to Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place. Then the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force.
Broker.
Oh god, I forgot his voice.
Yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes,
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel, needless to say. Oh my god, I just realized something. That thing that he just did, that like arm thing with the arms up like that, he's like definitely doing it more like fantastical and whatever, but isn't that exactly the same thing that the Skulkin brothers do? I mean, they do it like awkwardly and whatever, but that's exactly the same pose. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And a music box discs too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector?
Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a print showing the fella. Taken from one of his red-handed recorder Gubbanses? Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windibank that morning.
And you claim this lad is the brother's accomplice?
Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin?
Never seen the geezer before in me life. In me life, come on, me life, never seen him.
Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence.
I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is.
The disc. The disc. The finger. This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start, but now I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel?
Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet. Can we examine this? This is the bullet that was fired from the Skulkin brothers' gun on the night of the incident.
Yes, so it turns out it never actually entered Hurley's body at all.
Thanks to the thick leather of that pouch he was wearing, it saved him.
Hurley's always lucky like that.
Well, considering what he had to go through in hospital, I wonder how lucky he really was.
Oh dear, poor Hurley.
That didn't really help. There's no other piece of evidence that I could present other than the disc.
Take that!
The music stopped, so it has to be right. As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Windibanks.
Which is when the aforementioned Eggert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no?
That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred.
But of course, sir, here is the disc for you. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc. It's mine. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now.
A goodness, a blood stain, is it?
My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom.
Using my trusty fogger gun.
Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio.
I say! It's green.
It's exactly the same. Oh, sorry, that's the. Wait, juror number 6 is the. Oh, Jesus, I can't remember them all.
It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar.
The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Eggert Benedict, who was in Windibanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night.
So there was someone else there. Ha-ha! There's more than an air.
My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Eggert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify.
It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes, a god of detection or some such. How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir? And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court of the land. Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this placing are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of clean. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood is ever to return to the same color. Well... The leg! And pray, do you not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it?
Is it a load of rubbish? I don't know. I mean, he's a great detective. What are you talking about? I can't get away with that.
I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have?
I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it? Good grief, what did you just say, young girl? And in a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it?
Haha! Yeah, take that, Van Zeeks. You don't get to fucking speak up. It's still a summation examination.
See, the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Honey's invention. At least, not for now.
Yes, she's right.
Young lady, you have quite a devious mind. It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Runo. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something?
Unbelievable. Yet again. Much like his descendant will be in the future. Consistently saved by the ladies who are assisting him. Mr. Sholm's partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd presses of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty.
Bitch, what?
Guilty.
Excuse me?
Not guilty.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not you. Fuck you. Thank you. 2 call guilty and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection.
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept the decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police folk, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Haha! Shut down, bitch! That's what you get. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name of the gentleman gave for himself, Eggert Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. I mean, I kind of knew that, but then again, just when I managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who was that? Please, who spoke?
It was me, my lord.
Juror number 5. What have you to say, madam?
If possible, Inspector.
Me, ma'am?
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, the one in which the gentleman is shown.
Oh, right, yeah, this one you mean, of Mr. Benedict.
Yes, there's no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man?
Yes, I know him.
Good gracious! Good gracious indeed! The plot dummy thickens. Order! 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 Juror number 5, how on earth?
I'm a communications officer, stop.
As we can clearly see,
The gentleman in the photograph is, stop. Also a communications officer, stop. He works in my office, stop.
what are the odds?
A very talented operator, in fact, stop. He should be in the communication station now, stop. Tapping away on the telegraph, stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right.
I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal.
A very small town.
It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night.
Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong.
If the gentleman is at London's communication station,
I like to say a communication station. It's like, it has that nice little rhyme to it.
We should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zeeks, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Make the necessary arrangements with all haste.
As your lordship bids.
The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson?
Yes, my lord.
I should like to hear from you specifically about the events at Pond Brokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess.
Yes, sir, my lord.
Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m.
That's a very specific time. And I think this is a good place to stop for the evening. And it has a nice little button for me, to be continued, which we will continue on the next one. So let me just pop a nice little save up in my documents. Save my progress, absolutely. We're just gonna save, we're gonna save over 1. And just to be safe, we're gonna save over 2 as well. And that is where we're gonna end it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me on this Tuesday. Don't usually stream on Tuesday, so it's fun to do a little thing. And thank you guys for letting me move it from Thursday. It just works with my schedule better. Yeah, I like doing my stupid, dumb, terrible voices. I hope you guys found them entertaining to some degree. And me struggling to logic and apparently count bullets. I'll be streaming again tomorrow. I'm going to be drawing some stuff. I actually haven't figured out what I'm going to draw, so that's going to be kind of a surprise for both of us, ain't it? I think I'm going to draw some D&D stuff, but we'll see. We'll see which way the wind blows. If you haven't already, follow me on all my social medias. They're swiping down at the bottom. Twitter is especially great, because that's where I post my schedule, so you can always see. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you had fun, Crispy. Thank you so much for hanging out. I think we're gonna raid someone before we go. Let's see who's live. Pluto is live. Let's go see Pluto. Let's raid. Looks like they are crafting tonight, so let's go hang out with them. And thank you guys so much again. I will see you next time.